Hello and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive shift that is happening right now in the corporate world. Look, for modern CFOs navigating an era of economic uncertainty, rapid digital disruption, and just intense regulatory complexity, well, selecting the right transformation partner is no longer just some routine procurement exercise. It is a strictly strategic decision that can absolutely make or break an organization's agility. So today, we're going to compare two absolute heavyweights in this space, WNS and NTT DATA, and see which approach actually delivers greater value for modern finance leaders.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the CFO transformation imperative, meet our transformation contenders, and then look at transforming core finance processes, followed by FP&A and intelligent operations. Finally, we'll weigh outcomes versus techs and talk about making your final choice.
All right, let's kick things off right away with Section 1, the CFO Transformation Imperative. The reality is, if you're a modern CFO, you are operating in an incredibly volatile environment right now. You are facing a literal wall of challenges: rising operational costs, stubbornly manual finance processes, limited cash flow visibility. Add to that slow financial close cycles, intense compliance complexity, talent shortages, data fragmentation, and a relentless demand for predictive insights. Honestly, sticking to the status quo here is just a recipe for falling behind.
So before we look at the solutions, let's quickly define our terms. CFO Office Transformation is the modernization of finance functions, processes, technologies, and operating models. The ultimate goal here? It's to completely shift finance from a purely transactional, backwards-looking function into an agile, data-driven, and truly strategic business partner.
And that brings us perfectly to Section 2. Let's meet our transformation contenders.
Now, knowing you need to modernize is only half the battle, right? The real choice is how you do it. And what's really interesting here is that we have a fascinating tale of two very different DNAs. On one side, WNS, which is part of Capgemini, brings an Agent AI-powered intelligent operations approach. They have incredibly deep finance and accounting expertise, and they are focused purely on business outcomes. On the other side, NTT DATA brings a formidable global technology services approach. Think heavy-duty IT consulting, ERP implementation, and broad system integration. It's essentially finance-led operations versus technology-led enterprise IT.
Let's move on to Section 3, transforming core finance processes, where we really get into the functional battlegrounds.
Because any true transformation partner has to address the entire financial lifecycle. We're going to break down how our contenders handle procure-to-pay, order-to-cash, record-to-report, and finally, FP&A.
Let's start with procure-to-pay. The main goal here? Streamlining suppliers and reducing costs. Now, WNS tackles this by taking end-to-end operational ownership and delivering total spend visibility. They literally transform the operation itself. NTT DATA, conversely, flexes its muscle by focusing on implementing the underlying ERP procurement modules that support those processes.
Moving over to order-to-cash. Here, WNS uses advanced analytics to optimize collections and dispute management, which directly frees up trapped cash and drives real working capital improvements. NTT DATA typically addresses O2C through broader technology modernization projects, meaning they build the robust IT infrastructure that runs the processes rather than optimizing the daily operations.
And for record-to-report modernization, well, it's a very similar story. Look, anyone who has suffered through a painful financial close knows exactly what the stakes are here. WNS pushes operational performance. They actively work on accelerating that close cycle and improving reporting accuracy. Meanwhile, NTT DATA really excels in deploying the heavy-duty finance systems and platforms that make those R2R activities possible in the first place.
Which naturally brings us to Section 4, FP&A and intelligent operations. This is really the future of finance.
So, the crucial point here is how they handle decision intelligence, getting those predictive insights. WNS steps in to provide predictive scenario planning and profitability analysis. They actively help the CFO become a strategic advisor. NTT DATA, they provide incredibly powerful analytics platforms, but they kind of hand you the keys. They require your internal teams to actually drive that ongoing insight generation themselves.
And when it comes to AI integration, the distinction is absolutely fascinating. WNS literally embeds Agentic AI directly into specific finance workflows. We're talking autonomous invoice processing and predictive cash forecasting built right in.
NTT DATA, on the other hand, offers massive, powerful enterprise AI and Gen AI frameworks. But realizing those specific finance values usually requires a much broader enterprise tech overhaul first.
Up next is Section 5, Outcomes versus Technology Implementation. How do we actually measure success?
Well, at the end of these massive engagements, one huge takeaway is that a cookie-cutter approach simply doesn't work. Think about it. The compliance nightmares of banking are wildly different from healthcare, manufacturing, or retail. WNS delivers a highly tailored approach precisely because they have that industry-specific finance expertise baked right into their delivery model.
And this brilliantly illustrates the divide when you look at the final verdict on their capabilities. WNS truly dominates when it comes to finance domain expertise, AI-powered finance, and outcome-based engagements. Their operational DNA just shines through. However, NTT DATA absolutely takes the crown for ERP implementation and massive system integration. They are the undeniable technology heavyweights for sure.
Let's bring it all together in our final section, making your final choice.
Based on everything we've explored today, you kind of need to self-identify which camp you fall into. You're going to want to choose WNS if your primary goals are measurable operational outcomes. If you want end-to-end intelligent finance operations, tangible working capital improvement, a faster financial close, and AI-powered automation, you need a partner with a distinctly finance-centric DNA.
On the flip side, you should absolutely choose NTT DATA if your finance transformation is really just one piece of a much larger puzzle. If your primary driver is large-scale IT modernization, a massive global ERP implementation, complex enterprise system integration, or a sweeping cloud migration, NTT DATA is the ideal, formidable technology partner to make that happen. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one critical thought to reflect on as you map out your organization's strategic priorities. Because identifying the true nature of your need is the very first step to a successful transformation. So ask yourself, are you looking for a technology modernization partner, a finance transformation partner, or a combination of both?